Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be checking out the Z-9 Crotalus DNA Preservation Lab. Man, is that a mouthful. Now, the purpose of this lab is kind of in the name. It is a DNA preservation lab, and specifically it is connected to Crotalus, or, better known as rattlesnakes. I absolutely despise snakes, and rattlesnakes of course, so this place sounds like absolute hell. And apparently, this is where Dr. Borus got the brilliant idea of splicing together coyote DNA with rattlesnake DNA, which of course created nightstalkers. This is a notorious enemy within Fallout New Vegas. They are pretty tough, and I do think they are a lot of fun to fight, and they are very prevalent within the Big MT. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into Z-9. Also, this was the first time I ever noticed that those satellites near the sink and the think tank actually move. I just thought it was cool. Anyways, Z-9 is located just east of the sink and is just north of Boomtown. Now, as you approach, you might find some nightstalkers or just some other random enemies such as lobotomites. However, I encounter nothing. Now, Z-9 is just this kind of decayed, destroyed, decrepit building, and as you approach, there are some double doors, which lead us into this kind of tunnel. Of course, there's going to be some nightstalkers down here. At the very least, they are not rattlesnakes. That would be absolutely horrific, but we just have some nightstalkers that we have to deal with. Now, on very hard difficulty, these guys can be a pain in the ass. Now, as we head to the southern part of this Z-9 laboratory, we will find these two rooms on the left. On this lobotomite, we can find a mask. However, the lobotomite only has his upper torso, but we can still take the mask off his body, which is kind of a unique situation in Fallout. I never really seen a similar situation where we had just a body part and a piece of armor, which we can take. Anyways, after that, if we go in the main room, we find Shadis, and after we kill him, we can loot his body for random Nightstalker parts. And inside this main room, we can find an Autodoc upgrade, Implant Y3, along with his various Nightstalker body parts. Obviously, this area is where the experiments were happening on Nightstalkers. Dr. Borus's memory on why Nightstalkers were created is a little fuzzy, but there's two possibilities. One is it was because of a dare from Dr. Callis at X-13, and the other one is it was an attempt to preserve rattlesnakes from extinction. Within the main room, there is this average locked door, which just kind of leads us to a small closet. Truthfully, there's not a lot in here, besides some ammunition boxes, which have some, random ammunition, and then some footlockers, which also have some random ammunition. Behind us on the shelf is also a chessboard, and we can find various bottle caps next to the chessboard, but it's a very small amount of money, but I decided to go ahead and take it anyway. If we head to the eastern part of the laboratory, we can find this proton throwing axe in this little cage. We can also find a duffel bag with flamer ammo, and that ammunition box there, I found a stealth boy pretty good, and the other cages didn't contain a whole lot, besides some junk food. If we head to the western area, we can find a kind of holding pen and more research areas for Nightstalkers. In here, though, there is not a whole lot. We can find a footlocker with some random ammunition, more Nightstalker body parts, and more proton throwing axes. And behind this door is where there is kind of a holding area or just a pin for the Nightstalkers. I kind of got tired of fighting them at this point, so I tried using a timed mini-nuke to get rid of them easily. However, it actually was not too effective on very hard difficulty. I came back and I still had to finish them off with a gun. How unfortunate. But I mean, I guess it's not really a big deal since I just slaughtered them behind this cage and they are unable to open the cage door. But inside of this room, there really isn't a whole lot, but we can find dog bowls, which is kind of a unique item in Fallout New Vegas and in Fallout 3. They're just a bit difficult to find, so maybe you want one for your house or something for your good old boy Rex. So this is a good place to come pick one up. But besides that, not much in here. Alright everyone, I think that covers the Z-9 Crotalus DNA Preservation Lab. Again, that name is a mouthful. Better known as simply Z-9. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys learned something about Fallout New Vegas or Nightstalkers. Nightstalkers are a really awesome enemy, and I hope they make an appearance in a future Fallout installment. If you guys have any recommendations or ideas for future videos, please leave them in the comments section below. And as always, Until next time.